All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about a tool that can seriously change your workflow for the better, GitHub Actions. We're going to look at how you can automate pretty much your entire world with it.
You know the feeling, right? You've just pushed your latest code, and now you have to manually run tests, kick off a build, maybe even deploy it somewhere. It's tedious, and you can't help but think there has to be a better way. Well, you're in luck.
And that better way is GitHub Actions. The best part? It's not some third-party tool you have to integrate. It's built directly into GitHub. It's like having a little automation assistant living inside your repository, just waiting for something to happen, like a push, so it can spring into action.
So let's talk about this built-in buddy. Because it lives right alongside your code, you don't have to jump through hoops or manage a separate system. Everything is right there.
The secret sauce is all in this one special folder, .github/workflows. This is where you put your automation instructions, and these instructions or workflows are just simple YAML files. If you haven't used YAML, don't worry, it's super human readable. It's basically you telling GitHub, hey, when this happens, I want you to do these things.
So, what does one of these workflows actually look like? Well, the easiest way to wrap your head around it is to think of it like a recipe.
Seriously, this analogy is spot on. A recipe tells you when to start cooking, say, when you're hungry. It tells you what you need, your kitchen, your ingredients, and it gives you step-by-step instructions. A workflow does the exact same thing. It has a trigger, like a Git push, an environment to run in, and a list of steps to follow.
Okay, let's look at a real-world example. This is a super common continuous integration pipeline written in YAML. You can see it has a name, CI pipeline. Then the on part says, hey, run this anytime someone pushes to the main branch. Then we have one job, build and test, that's going to run on an Ubuntu machine, and finally, the steps. First, check out the code, and second, run npm test. Simple as that.
So that little bit of code we just saw translates into this exact process. Step 1, you push your code to main. That's the trigger. 2, GitHub spins up a brand new virtual machine for you. 3, it pulls your code down onto that machine. And 4, it runs your test command, all without you lifting a finger.
As you get more advanced, you'll hear these three terms all the time. Jobs are the big pieces of your workflow, like build or deploy. Steps are the individual commands inside each job. And runners? Those are just the virtual machines that do all the heavy lifting.
Okay, so now we get the basics of how it works. But let's talk about the why. Why are so many developers choosing GitHub Actions over all the other options out there?
It pretty much boils down to these three things. First, that seamless integration. It's already there. You don't need another tool. Second, it's incredibly versatile. You can automate almost anything you can think of. But third, and this is the real game changer, is the marketplace. You can find thousands of pre-built actions that the community has already made and just drop them right into your workflow.
All right, let's move from theory to practice. What are people actually doing with actions out there in the wild? Let's look at some common use cases.
Of course, the big ones are CI and CD, automating your testing and deployments. That's the bread and butter. But people also use it to automatically run code quality checks, with linters and formatters. You can manage your secrets safely and even automatically publish your new packages to places like NPM or PyPy. And here's a pro tip for you. If you're working on a bunch of different projects, you can create what's called a reusable workflow. You define your standard process once, and then you can just call it from all your other repositories. No more copy pasting. It is a massive time saver.
Okay, this is a really important question. We're automating all this stuff, but what happens when a workflow needs sensitive info, like an API key or a password? You definitely don't want to just paste that into your code.
And the answer is GitHub Secrets. It's both secure and really easy to use. You just go into your repository settings, add your secret, and GitHub encrypts it. Then, in your workflow file, you can access it using the special syntax you see here. It's safely injected into your workflow when it runs, and it never, ever gets printed in the logs.
All right, so as we start to wrap this up, what's the one big thing you should take away from all this for your own projects?
Here it is, plain and simple. GitHub Actions saves you time, a lot of time. It forces consistency into your process, and because of that, it helps you and your team ship better, more reliable code faster.
I absolutely love this quote. That's exactly what it is. It's the silent partner, always working for you in the background, handling all the boring, repetitive stuff so you can focus on the fun parts.
So that's our deep dive into GitHub Actions. Now the question isn't if you should use it, but what you'll use it for. Think about your day-to-day work. What's that one annoying repetitive task you hate doing? That's your starting point. So, what will you automate first?